Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. Today we'll be specifically exploring the music of the great composer and pianist Fryderyk Chopin. Chopin was educated in the tradition of Beethoven and Clementi, and he cited Bach and Mozart as the two key composers that shaped his musical perspective. However, once he had fully familiarised himself with the various established musical works of his day, he set about improvising them. And it was this flair for improvisation that became the cornerstone of Chopin's composition.
Here we are with Amelia Gentek, who is a young and ambitious musicologist and also the winner of the Polish competition of the knowledge of Chopin. She has also worked on the past competition that took place in Warsaw, Poland, and was in 2015. Emilia, the first question that I would like to ask you is about the Minute Waltz that Chopin has composed. Is it really just a Minute Waltz, or is it just a nickname?
Waltz Desdur 64 number 1, popularly known as the Minute Waltz, was not in fact named by Chopin. Words around claiming that it could be played in under 1 minute is also a common misconception, as the whole piece takes 2 minutes to play.
The mazurka is often cited as a unique Polish musical expression, especially the one that Fryderyk composed. What is the significance of the mazurka as a musical style?
Mazurkas are some of the most iconic amongst European folk dances, for instance Minute Waltz or Polonaise. The national dances started to reach its popularity in the 19th century because of the awakening of the national consciousness. It is at that time composers in Europe started to focus on folk music. Mazurek stopped being only a folk dance which people sang and danced in the countryside, but also became an artistic music style. Stylizations made by individual composers were very well received. Chopin was connected with two styles of mazurkas, authentic country and artistic. Despite the fact that Chopin didn't invent the style of piano of mazurkas, he was the one that popularized it to a worldwide level. The folk dance is not that special itself, but Chopin made it deep and gave it potential thanks to his talent. Also important to know is that Chopin never quoted authentic folk melodies directly, but took inspiration instead from its various features such as their tone and rhythm. Chopin's mazurkas are unique. People around the world are regularly left breathless by his pieces filled with melodic inventions and ideas. Chopin was inspired by three dances, the kujawiak, the mazurka, and the operek. The three dances each have great varieties. The kujawiak has a slow tempo, while the mazurka and operek are vivid and lively. Mazurkas have a special place in Chopin's work. He spent his entire life composing them. They are an autobiographical type of music. Mazurkas is a reflection of the changes in Chopin's style, starting with slow and simple to one of complication.
Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm joined here today by Mr. Krzysztof Ratajski, pianist and composer. So I'd like to ask you a few questions about Fryderyk Chopin and try and tap into your musical brain and find out a little bit more about the musical side of Chopin. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the most inspiring aspect of Chopin and his legacy, in your opinion.
Well, as we know, it's very broad, all this variety of new and interesting things that people find in Chopin's music, or if they are Poles or foreigners. So I will just speak from my point of view. I think that's the best way, from my experience as a composer and also playing Chopin and musician. What I found inspiring, what also guided me to new things in composition and understanding in music, I think the beauty of Chopin's melodic lines. I mean, of course, there is this sophistication in harmony and styles, very known from romantic composers, the virtuosic piano, as we call it. But what is so beautiful in Chopin is his construction of melodies and perception, what he called also, of melodies as sound sentence, like sound phrases. So, in a way, he composes melodies as if he were speaking, singing, and that's the best way also. When I invent a new melody, I'm thinking how to say, how to sing it. Then it becomes like a phrase, an answer, a question. Da 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 da. You have a question here, and then da 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 da, like an answer. And so it became so intuitive to listen, to play. That when you just turn on the radio and hear, I don't know, a waltz of Chopin or a mazurka or anything, you cannot know the piece, but if you're a bit, not always trained, I think, musician, but just like listening just to this kind of music, you'll instantly recognize this is Chopin, and this is what is the most original thing, I think.
So does that mean you think that his interpretation of music was sort of like language in that sense?
Yeah, I think this is like making also, of course, he was inspired a lot by poetry, by folk themes that are very simple, but very intuitive, very vital. That's what gets me always, this vitalism in these melodies. But this is like making a new kind of poetry, just musical poetry. Like speaking in a new language, which is music.
Could you tell us, in your opinion, how did he contribute to Poland's musical culture? And, what exactly is it that makes his pieces so exceptional?
First of all, Chopin was very innovative in terms of harmony, all this technical stuff. I will maybe for now talk less of it. This is like very structural things about the form, about the playing style. And at the beginning, although he was very early recognized as a very talented genius by his teachers, by people surrounding him and everyone, he was not very often performed at first in Poland because this was kind of new, kind of unexpected. People were more in the early romantics, in the classic era in Poland. But then there were some historical facts that, of course, make this so important. That, for example, that was, of course, the Uprising, the November Uprising in Poland, where like Chopin's music was used to boost the nation's morale. You can feel in this music this very strong spirit.